Hey guys, there's another episode with Cosmic Energy Life. My guest today is Alyssa Sonora. Hello, Alyssa.
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. I love the coffee and
I
the
know
cups.
I don't want to say we're in the witch's kitchen, but so
There's a lot of light around here. We're fine.
it is above us.
Yeah.
So for those who can watch us on YouTube, this is just a screen, background screen, and we kind of are melted together. Welcome to Cosmic Energy Life. We have had last week a very, not last week, 2 weeks ago. We're trying to do it bi-weekly, a podcast about narcissism. Alyssa is a candle manifestation coach and healer, and she works with her spirit guide. She is native, and she's been doing a few things here and there when it comes to spirituality to help people manifest. She's a life coach. She's a survivor of different things. We're going to get into that in a minute. When you introduce yourself, that would be good now. What do
Hello,
you do?
everybody. My name's Alyssa Sonora, and I run Healing Times. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I'm fairly new to being public with the work that I do. Um, I started doing candle work a few years ago on myself, and it's just led to helping everybody heal and get to where they need to be and pursue their life purpose.
Nice. So right off the bat, I did test Alyssa because when coworkers meet with each other, they test each other. So one gets a healing or a reading, and the other one does the other work. So Alyssa is
Pressure,
very
pressure, pressure,
what? What did you say?
pressure, 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 pressure.
No pressure, just a shout
no,
out, okay?
no pressure.
So I've tested Alyssa for protection work and for work situated things. So I had a special manifestation and with work related stuff. And though, like it takes, like a little bit of time, within 3 weeks, she was able to actually get me a certain job that I wanted in the artist industry. And so I want to give a shout out because I did get a job. I got a booking. So thank you very much. And
Yay.
I recommend you 100%. You work very subtle, very soft. You don't have any interference. As a healer, I would feel that, of course. And how do people get a hold of you again?
You
To book
can
you?
email me at healing_times@yahoo.com, or
Mhm.
you can find me on Instagram through Eva's page as well.
Yeah.
I don't have a huge following, so go through Eva's page, go to Healing Times. You can DM me, you can message me directly. I don't mind doing a free consultation to just kind of understand what you need. And then we could go from there.
Awesome. You can also find Alyssa's link tree on the podcast on Spotify, on Apple, also on YouTube because we copy paste everything. So that's one way to get a hold of us. And sometimes we put like some sizzles. She is tagged in the latest podcast. So you can find that in the real section from Cosmic Energy Life as well. So Healing Times, big shout out. You did very well. I will continue to work with you.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm so glad that it worked out for you. So that's
Me
awesome.
too, me too, me too. It was exactly what I asked for actually. So, in
Yay.
time and the more we work together, I think it's gonna be more smooth even. That's what I think. So yay! Yay, yay, yay. Okay, so today, we had really good response, by the way, for the last podcast about narcissism and the spiritual healing, and what people go through, and explain to people how narcissism actually works. So people really like that a lot. So today we're gonna go to a similar or like a related subject, which is red flags. In particular, we're going to talk red flags in dating, and we're going to also talk about red flags in work related matters, and pretty much whether this is a love romantic relationship versus like a personal. It's kind of similar. So like people need to always follow the same string, basically the same warning signs. So I'm going to bring up some things about red flags, what actually a red flag is, and I'm going to talk about the love related because I have a lot of clients, they want to know what a red flag is, and people talk about that versus in relationship versus in relationship to work, especially with coworkers and a boss. Now, a red flag by itself says, or the explanation is, a warning signal pointing to a potential problem or threat that warrants further investigation. So, in dating, red flags. So we're going to go over a few. One of them we talked about already. A red flag is narcissism. When a person is selfish and manipulative and wants things their way, and you've been in a narcissistic relationship, you were the submissive, you were the victim. So that's one red flag. So what would you say? We're starting with the narcissism in a relationship that is romantic, right? But that can also happen in work-related space. What is your take on red flags with narcissism? How is it to spot? How can you spot a narcissist as a red flag in like a few words?
Mm, Well, first of all, red flags. You hear red flags. So a red light tells us to stop our vehicles. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Red tape is caution to not enter a certain area. I don't know why, for some reason, red flags come up in relationships and everybody's like, oh, is it a circus? I want to go. And everybody just starts running towards it. That's not how it is. That's not a good idea. Please don't enter or enter with caution. So,
Don't enter at
and
all.
so in so many words, when you start a new relationship, when you first meet someone, a new possible suitor, someone you like, someone you're interested in, one of the first things that I would tell you to be key of is addictions. That was really big when I first met my husband. There was
Of the
some
red
sort of
flags.
a red flag as an addiction. This can be alcohol, this could be cigarettes, drugs, pornography. These are addictions that you should look out for
Yes.
because
Mhm.
they're already showing displays of repetitive addiction, something that they need, something to fulfill them, something that they're not going to let go of. So, um, I've also seen distress and jealousy doesn't come out right away. You're not going to meet these people and they say, hey, Eva, you're gorgeous. I'm so jealous and I'm going to be distrustful of you. They're not going to say that. But
Controlling.
what it'll come out as, um, what did I say? Insecurity from a partner sometimes seems like attentiveness. So they may seem like they're, oh, how are you? What are you doing? You just met this person. All of a sudden they want to check in with you or 5 or 6 times a day. And you're like, hey, these are red flags. This
Mhm.
isn't, oh my God, he likes me. He called me 15 times today. No. Red flag, right?
So, yeah, so I want to add there are red flags of too much communication and there's a red flag of too low of communication. Because if it's too low, there's a lack of communication. The opposite is there because that person is actually not interested. And that can also be a red flag because that's your sign to exit the relationship because that person wants one thing only, if even after one time getting together or how many times ever. So like too much or too low, but in your case it's also like what you said is also control. It's kind of a control mechanism that is a red flag, right? So like there's a lack of trust of those people or
Yeah.
you.
So go ahead. I'm sorry, honey.
No, go.
Well, I was going to say it comes off as attentiveness. Somebody who grew up with trauma as a woman or as a man who grew up with lack of attention, they're going to cling to people like this, right? Oh my God, John calls me 10 times a day. I love it. He's so attentive. Yeah,
Mm,
well, now John's asking you, what are you wearing? And now John's asking you, who friends that you're conversating with? Who are you on the phone with? And it starts to turn into jealousy, distrust. But they said he gives me so much attention. I love it. He's always checking on me. No, he wants to know what you're doing so he can have control over you. These are red flags. And then you go back into the narcissism.
yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, yeah.
Yeah, narcissism has a widespread of different things. So a narcissist will never 100% trust you either. So it's one thing to have a red flag lack of trust because you feel like the person is dating other people, for example, when you just started dating. It could just be that, he or she cannot control you as much as they want to yet, right? And narcissism has also like the codependency factor, which is also a red flag by itself. But a narcissist will have everything covered. Feels like there's like a lot of red flags underneath the red flags. Subtitles. So, codependency is something that the narcissist wants, but codependency by itself would be also a problem. A lot of people are in a relationship, and that's a red flag again, with each other because they cannot be by themselves. So they will basically either lower the standards or just like settle for what is there right now. There's so many relationships, like at least 50% of relationship, I would say, speaking to a lot of my clients out of from experience and just like with friends and people, they cannot be by themselves, so they are codependent. That's a red flag. And it could be two people having the same red flag. Like you just don't know, right? So yeah, but
To add
like
to that, what you're saying with the
yeah,
codependency, I want to add another red flag to that as you're talking. One thing to look for is no friends. This is really big because sometimes women meet men that are like, well, he's just so busy. He works so much. He does this, he does that. He's not available. No, that means that he struggles to maintain friendships, which can indicate a struggle to connect to them on a depth level, right? So if you're a narcissist and you're always about yourself, how can you connect and care for someone else? It's not going to work. And going back to my late husband who passed, didn't have any friends. He had acquaintances, he had a lot of coworkers, but no, maybe one
interesting.
friend who he loses over the years. So you discover, um, if you discover deflection on a personal culpability, you lack the drive, and then you experience that in your relationship. So
Interesting.
they'll bring it to you.
Ooh. So
Mhm.
here's the thing. I'm a loner. I've learned in my life. I have a lot of friends or
Red flag,
acquaintances.
red flag.
I know. I should wait for that. Like I should wait for one.
Give her the red cup.
I'm right up underneath the red cup. Look at me. I'm like red, red, Robert Riding Hood. So, okay, so I had a lot of acquaintances. I have friends, but I'm a loner too now because I have to have my peace and quiet. I need to recoup because as a healer, like you need alone time to just, I'm a reflector in human design. And I take like a sponge everybody's energy. So I have to sometimes just like, detach. I've met people that are loners, they don't have friends. Is that a red flag? To some degree, yes. There's just people who don't want to socialize with other people. There are people who don't want to have other friends because they're tired of the bullshit, because they keep attracting people that need to be healed. They have unhealed versions,
Yep.
right? So
Right.
you will find that too, but then you will know somehow when they have really odd behavior. This is when it's like, what's wrong with that? But there is a variety of, like being like alone and, not having friends. There's a variety, but like sometimes a guy does not or a female does not want to have friends because they really want to focus on the relationship and they I don't know, like I'm 50-50 on that. Like it can be weird, but in the same time some people choose that.
Right. But it is a red flag to not have an individual that you can trust to go ahead and give you, I
Yeah.
don't know, whether it be spiritual advice, whether it be relationship advice, whatever it is. To not have
So if you're
anybody
completely disconnected, gotcha.
that you can play. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And a
So
lot of
yeah.
people struggle to find depth in those types of relationships because they don't have any connection to anybody. These probably don't even talk to their families. These are
Got
people
you.
that don't have relationships with their siblings. These are
Yeah.
people that are struggling to connect because they're usually a narcissist, right? Or they're
Okay.
bipolar, or they suffer from some sort of mental health illness.
Yeah,
Right?
many times when you're bipolar there's a schizophrenia like borderline. I've noticed that with a lot of people, and like I've diagnosed them, and like I was talking to a psychologist, no, actually psychiatrist, and she said to me, she looks at me, she's like, "How do you know?" I said, "I just, 50% is people watching, 50% is like, analyzing a person, and then, whatever downloads I get from my psychic point of view, I just know when something is off and wrong. It's like the chemistry. Some people, dogs can smell, for example, when somebody's not okay.
Yeah.
Carl,
No, yeah, definitely.
yeah,
You can tell, and then once you diagnose, it almost like triggers them too. I've noticed that. I noticed that when somebody who discovers that they suffer from a mental health illness, it almost either puts them in an immediate depression because they have struggles to accept what's wrong with them, Or you have
Yeah.
people that lash out. That's another red flag. Violence. If you
Mhm.
meet someone who has a
Yeah.
hot temper, right? You're at a dinner date and they're snappy with the waitress, that's a red flag. Okay. You don't want anybody that's going to display any type of violence towards you, towards a loved one, towards a stranger, anything like that. If you pick up on a very short temper, don't take it as, oh, he must have had a bad day, or, oh, that's just how he is at the end, whatever. No, he's showing you who he is. You need to take that for what it is.
Because that can turn into physical abuse on
Yes.
yourself, and then you have other issues to deal with. Yeah. Um, and the funny thing is, like, it's not always somebody who works like for, like, let's say the government, the police force, or anything like that. Sometimes it's just like your regular Joe. Those are the
Oh,
worst. Like the ones that are in hiding, they just look like they're all nice, and then like behind closed doors, it's like not good. I've had clients where there was
like a
physical abuse.
mailman?
Not I don't know, mailman, just like, your regular Joe, like your regular person that has a job, and you would not ever think that he has violence in his blood. Like where people, yeah, females come beaten up. I had this once and she was scared for her life, and I kept telling her, go to the police, and she's like, they're not doing anything. I said, you need to go to the police. But again, she was with a narcissist. And when a narcissist does that, that's even worse. Like it's like all the red flag combos, ding 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 ding, jackpot, the wrong one, not the
You're
right
winning something.
one. Yeah, so it's just like you're right about that. Like any confrontational stuff, or like any feisty, a lot of fights are red flags as well. All of these things that we're talking about, they usually have to do with the solar plexus. Again, just like narcissism, many times is the self-love is like not in balance. Self-worth is not in balance. The lack of trusting yourself. So you need to heal the solar plexus, which is underneath the chest above the navel, and it's a yellow color. And solar plexus is the one thing that needs to heal the most. From all the issues with chakra healings that I've done, solar plexus has been always number one lack, even for me. But not like, I don't have those kind of issues. I have, like I need to work on my self worth, my self love, like trusting myself that I'm capable of certain things when I know I am. You know, I'm completely the opposite. Like, and sometimes when you give too much, that can be also a red flag, you know, sometimes because that means you
Yeah,
need
and
to
then
heal, but it's not like as bad. It's not a red flag. That's more like, like also a solar plexus issue. But all those red flags, like I think like 80% are solar plexus issues that you need to heal.
well, that's good to know because people end up thinking, well, is it a crown issue, a third eye issue? Am I not loving? My heart's clogged. Do I need to ground more? And it's like, no, you're
Grounding is
just with the
good.
mark.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
grounding is good, but solar plexus is the one problem that most people have. Every other person, if not every person, has that. And it's one thing to feel like, low self-esteem, self-worth, self-love. It's another thing to have aggression where you have narcissistic tendencies where I said like it cannot be healed, it can just be improved. And then like to have, aggression, because that means that something happened in your family home. And that's ancestral as well. Those are ancestral, either curses or like contracts that you take over. We are here to heal our ancestral line, and the healers
right.
do it. And some people that are not healers do that. They go to healers and let themselves be taken care of, so they break it. But those people, they come from violence. You don't know in ancestral, like whatever happened, like in generations, if there was like murderers. You don't know if there was like people who went to war and did like really bad things. So it can like add up, and then this kid or this guy or this female has like all those aggressions, not knowing where it's coming from, and it's
Right.
literally ancestral. Like your family has like really bad reputation. They were like, slaughtered, or they were like victims before, and now you're mad and you're taking it on to others. So when you try to heal it, even if it's not 100%, you can help yourself, but those people don't even know. They will laugh into your face. I've seen those people. They never come to me because they know I'm gonna irritate the shit out of them. Because I shine light, so do you. And like, that's why many times people think like, oh, like I'm going to do a little healing, but then they get irritated and then they're not ready to heal.
Yeah,
Those
so I've experienced some clients where I've done some candle work for them,
Oh
and they say,
yeah,
"Oh,
you
well,
told me.
I don't think everything is working. I don't da 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 da." Okay, well, tell me what happened, and they tell me what happened. Oh, well, that sounds like a successful petition to spirit, and they say, "Well, I don't like it," and I go, "Well, you're part of the problem, so maybe you should fix that, and then you'll end up
Yeah.
liking your results later." But
Yeah.
nobody wants to hear it, whether you're into astrology, tarot, light magic, candle magic,
And
so
especially, yeah,
right.
yeah, 100%. And especially, nobody wants to hear that it's going to take time. Like, I've been healing for years. I've been a healer for the past 12 years. And the Lord knows, man, I have my days where I'm just like, screw this, screw
Yeah.
this.
Oh,
I'm done. So like for me, it's like as difficult. And I have, we take on other people's problems, so we're helping them too. So imagine by the end of the day how we feel sometimes. And especially dealing with a narcissist or somebody who has temper. Because again, that's the red flag. We have people with temper, and that's a red flag. And sometimes we have to let those people go because we cannot get things done in their way because they don't understand they have to heal first before they can attract certain things. Right?
and it's not our job to hold your hand while you go through your stuff. As a healer, I'm here to guide you. I'm here to help you and to
Yeah.
point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
But you have to accept the fact that you need to cleanse yourself. And like you said, we work with a lot of narcissists. We work with a lot of people that don't want to accept that they are the problem, and they have to accept that in order to get better.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like this, like the list is long. I mean, by the end of the day, we can hold hands. It's just, it needs to be for, consultation purposes. And many, many times when we do that, they don't want to hear what we have to tell them. In relationship terms, so I feel like the physical, emotional, mental abuse, that is a red flag, and it can be in different ways. Sometimes it's like very like underlying where people do stuff. Love bombing is also like really Love bombing is one of those things like being obsessed.
I'm smiling in excitement because it's been like all over my social media love bombing. I don't know what's happening this week, but it's been love bomb galore. So I didn't know what that term meant until I actually looked into it. I'm like, oh my gosh, how many people sabotage their potential suitors because they're just, love bombing, as
Are
they
you
say.
getting love
So yeah.
bombed? Are you trying to tell me people love you? I'm jealous at
Is
your
that
red
what
flags.
that is? No, I'm just kidding.
I want to have some of that. No, I don't, but it's yeah, love bombing or obsession with something, being obsessed either with that person or like with something else, just like you said. Yeah, controlling, jealous behavior, also red flags. Bad relationships with friends and family, we talked about it already. Emotional reactions. Again, everything starts with the solar plexus here. Red flags are pretty much should be actually yellow, but like red is more vibrant. So it kind of feels
Would
like
they stop with yellow? Would they question a caution since it's yellow? Would they think a little
I
bit
can still
more?
go. Red is like the ultimate stop, right? I feel like most of those issues are and it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship. Sometimes it's just like a personal relationship, as in
Right.
friendship. And those are red flags that people should look out for. Of course, people talk about red flags and sometimes more, like one point at a time. But by the end of the day, anything that triggers you, you got to watch that. Anything that triggers you in relationships, romantic or like interpersonal, and you feel like you have been violated, you feel bad, you feel drained afterwards, you feel like emotional, you don't feel 100% yourself, you went in with a really good mood and then you feel like crying right now, red flag, because something's off. I had people in the past when I was younger, I dated, and they had those weird ass issues, and I didn't know about narcissism back in the day, right? So like you live and learn, but like in your case it's even, because you were married to a narcissist, you saw all the red flags. I think like basically narcissists have like all what we have listed in one.
And I want to add one more
Yeah.
because this one was really big in my relationship that I completely ignored. I met my husband at a very young age. I was only 18 years old. I was just out of high school. I saw him. He's gorgeous. I fell in love. da 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 da. He was 6 years older than me, and he had a huge red flag, which is a history of infidelity. So when you meet
Oh.
someone, okay, on all your dating apps, social apps, whatever it is, this can be anyone, okay? When
Mhm.
you hear them talk about their past relationships and then they get into why we broke up or why we fought or whatever, or she cheated on me or I cheated on her, these are red flags, okay? Even with the change, you must be comfortable knowing that you are starting or pursuing something with someone who has had infidelity.
Yes.
So it's considered a red flag, even if they are a changed person. I do believe people can change,
Yes, of course.
but it is something to think about because they did use that as an outlet when things got tough. It's another part of the addiction. And from my understanding, the infidelity in my relationship came from attention. He needed attention, constant attention. I don't know how much more attention I can give that man, but he
Lack of
needed it all the time.
self-worth and
Lack
self-love
of
and
self,
yeah.
exactly. And a narcissist. So he's going to go get it wherever he can get it. And my mailman comment came from he was a mailman. So it was no problem to find attention being a mailman, right? That's what you do. But for a narcissist, somebody who doesn't love themselves, somebody who already feels so low about themselves, they cling to these types of relationships. And these are all red flags when you have a friendship, a relationship, a parent, an aunt, an uncle, a cousin, you name it. So these are things that you should really pay attention to.
I feel like I want to add something because I just got out of a situation, I'm dating. So without saying too much of things, I feel like what we also need to pay attention to is if somebody gets cheated on, why does the person get cheated on? And that's not necessarily a red flag, but it kind of leads to something. So when the person is being selfish because he was in a narcissistic relationship and he was the victim of it, and then he's being so selfish now that he doesn't want to give back to the other person and feels like it's okay whatever they are doing, then it becomes a problem too. That's a red flag by itself. If you're a spiritual person, spiritual chicks, and you dating somebody of lower vibration, you will pay for it dearly because you have to cleanse yourself. You have to get rid of this energy. And you will always, each time you're with that person, lower your vibration. And eventually you're going to feel like crap. So that's a red flag for you. So you need to be also with people in your vibration to come to the spiritual point. And as as nice as it is, even if you have a friend, if they steal your thunder, like if they are energy vampires, right? And if they just drain you, that's a red flag. If you feel like you talk to yourself or to the walls and the person does not give you anything back, that can also be a red flag when you are not on the same level. So there are subtle signs, we make everything red right now, but those are signs for you to walk out or run. So sometimes
You
when
reminded me of something right now. I'm sorry
yeah.
to cut you off, but you reminded me of something right now. You know, one thing that I experienced as a red flag as well is somebody who speaks in the third person. I never knew what that was until I heard it, which was like, oh,
My
well,
spirit and I, my spirit and I.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like that, or it's like, um, I was a big jerk in high school and people didn't like me. So I tried to be a nice guy, but then I noticed that people didn't like the nice guy, so I turned out to be a jerk. So who's getting more attention? The jerk. Who's this? Tom needs
Interesting.
to be the jerk, and I'm like, you're talking about yourself in the third person, like you're referring to yourself as a and so I was like, that's a little weird. I don't know if that was some mental health issues going on there as well, but I was like, red flag, get rid of them. Next.
Interesting. I didn't think of that. Very interesting. So technically, when we see those red flags, if we are unhealed, we're gonna fall for them. And the Lord knows we have a lot of us, not just females, also
I had
males.
I had 4 babies with mine, so don't feel bad.
You're like, I have four walking red flags.
Four walking red flags.
Half
Was
of
one
them.
was supposed to be green, but it was already. Thank
I think your babies are beautiful.
you.
They don't have red flags.
Thank
They're good as they are. You're a great mom, and
thank you,
but
honey.
but the end of the day, like by the end of the day, and that was a bad joke, so we shouldn't have done that. I
Ta-da-ta.
am sorry. But here's the thing. When we talked about this, when you have a narcissist husband, you have a 50% chance that the kids are going to turn narcissistic, or they're going to be the submissive one and have narcissistic partners. So that's a whole situation. But the end of the day, like red flags, they sometimes look different. They look sometimes gray. Sometimes they look like, oh, it's green, and then it turns red all of a sudden, because in between, just like the cups, there's a yellow before it turns to the red color, right? So it's so funny. Green, yellow, red.
Your
We
warnings. You
chose
have
we
your
chose
warnings.
the right background
Yeah.
today. Yeah.
So
So
green, right? You're going, and then you see, oh, this
yeah.
doesn't look like it's
Stop and
going
go,
so
stop and
good.
go.
Yeah,
Can
stop
we
and
still
go.
make it?
Yeah.
Can we still make it? So when we're younger, because we're not as experienced, and unless you grew up with somebody that comes from a narcissistic household, or they have parents that explain that to them. My parents didn't explain anything to me, so I know nothing. I had to learn myself, and it took me in my 30s, like in my 40s, to actually realize, I'm forever 29, first of all. But when you're older, when you're older,
Uh-huh.
you will discover like some people being more selfish, or like the narcissist not understanding it in the beginning, and then eventually you talk to people that tell about their relationships and what to look out for, and you're like, oh my god, red flag, red flag, red flag. And 50% of the people that I've dated have had those red flags, if not more. So we don't know, when we don't know the terms and the explanation and everything that comes with it. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh my God, I dated all those red flags, like narcissist, or like too passive, or like too submissive, or too this or too that. And you're just like, mother of the gods. Like, like I said, when you meet somebody, even in these days, when you see the red flags, you run. So,
Just be more aware. It's being more aware. It's being
yes,
honest with yourself.
yes,
Sometimes us women, I don't even want to say just us women, sometimes men and women become, a little blindsided. They want their rose colored glasses on. They're lonely. We're in hard times right now in the world. People sometimes just want that partnership, and they'll ignore a lot of things, because that's what I did. I
yeah,
met a man. I wanted to be happy. I wanted to be married. I wanted to
yeah,
have babies. So I ignored a lot of things in order to keep my family and my family dynamic going. So don't feel bad if you're in the same situation. Don't feel bad if you're
yeah,
currently dating
yeah.
and they're checking off. If you're winning the casino right now with every one red flag right now that we've listed, don't feel bad. Just be more aware that at the end of the day, these are warning signs that spirit gives you to know that this might not be a good match for you. And that's
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. And like we said, this is not just love related. This can be also work related,
Yep.
to some degree. This
Those
can be friendship,
coworkers,
or
your
like, yeah.
boss, right?
With work, I want to add, because I know we kind of melted this together. If you see somewhere in work high turnover, if you apply for a job and they don't respect your wishes to some degree, when they say they really want you, they make you wait for stuff, or like they don't get you what you need, just make sure that you are okay doing that, because if not, they're going to do exactly what they want to do with you. They make you wait, they don't give you what you want, they lie to you about certain things, even about benefits. Anything you see with a high turnover, communication issues, or coworkers asking inappropriate questions,
Yes.
giving you unrealistic workloads, and there is
Yes.
a work-life imbalance. If you feel burned out at your work, those are all red flags that are caused by other people and you being the submissive to this problem. If you see inconsistent leadership, if you see like lack of transparency, if there's micromanagement from your coworkers, red flags. All red flags, like we said, solar plexus related for the most part. Sometimes it's also the heart chakra, because there has not been enough love in their life, right? even like in work related matters or in personal. Most of the times the solar plexus, then it leads to the heart. Um, if anything is unprofessional, like an interview is unprofessional. It happened to me one time. Oh my God, I was 20 years old. I went in and the guy was touching himself and I did not understand. And when I told a friend, a male friend, he just said, like, it's gonna be okay. And it wasn't. That guy took 20 freaking years before he got fired. Do you know how many, and nobody, he was the HR manager. So nobody had the guts to say something. And I left because I felt like it was like the whole company was red flag. I was still in corporate. So yeah, and
And
it took
you see that in their position of power, they
time,
know.
all the time.
Mhm.
I'm just reading points down and then,
No, no,
I have
yeah, yeah,
something
it's
to
just,
say
yeah.
about it, but like that was like the worst experience I had where just felt like
I'm
so
so
light.
sorry.
And when I told people, they're like, yeah, we went through the same thing. And I'm like, and you didn't say anything? Nobody said anything. After 20 years, and finally somebody said something. There was so many complaints that people said, especially, with, like woman empowerment and like being more empowered. He then got fired and he probably has a new job somewhere or is close to retirement because I was 20, he was maybe 40 or something. I just, I finished with trade school, had like associate's degree. I was a legal secretary. I was working for insurance, a very known insurance in the south of, Germany. So it was just very strange. And,
Yeah,
back then there was no, we're going to say something. I had
yeah,
one boss. He was an alcoholic. He was a lawyer. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. Red
Oh, the
flags
worst.
all the way.
The worst. He knows the
Yeah.
law and he's not afraid to use it.
Right? Like people in power can do that too, right?
That's the worst. Yeah.
Yeah, just, when anything makes you feel stressed out at work, just ask yourself, because it's not always you. Sometimes it's you. You could be also the walking red flag. But any signs of these things, you got to be careful because spiritually they're taking advantage of you. There's a lot of energy vampires, especially when it comes to narcissism or people, abusive in some kind of way, right?
And I
So
think a big thing too, as far as preventative, right? To preventative of these types of red flags or narcissism, going back to it, is to really listen to your body. I don't know why people don't listen to their body right away. That's the first thing I knew when I
they're
started
not
coming into
healed.
like,
They're not
right.
healed.
Yeah.
Remember when people come to you and they say, I want to get XYZ done, and you're like, we have to do healing first because you
Right.
have unhealed trauma. And
Right.
you work with candle manifestation, so you have to burn a certain amount of candles. Sometimes 3 candles is not enough, sometimes 200 is not enough. My healing process, has insisted, has been consistent with healing, with candles, with this, with that, with herbs, with baths, and I don't know.
Right.
So in order for me to heal, I've done a lot of healing, like cosmic energy healing in particular, because that's
Right.
what I'm known for. And I teach it now. And it's just, sometimes those people don't see it because they're not healed. 20 years ago, I wasn't healed. That's why I was walking into it. And that's what they're eating on. They eat on the victims. This can happen also in the friendship. When friendship is one-sided, it's all about them. They battle you, there's a competition, they don't respect your boundaries, they don't apologize, controlling behavior,
Yeah.
constant
Underlining
complaints.
jealousy. Yeah. Something
And
constant
and
behind your
friendships are the
back.
worst. And friendships are the worst because you trust those people. In work related matters, there's always mobbing going on. You will know to some degree. Even in a relationship, you will know to some degree. Friendship can be the worst, where you say, I'm open to you, you're my friend, I trust you. And this could be from childhood. And then it's backstabbing all along, lack of
Mhm.
communication, too much, too little, abusive behavior, they have trauma that they haven't healed. And this
Manipulation, gaslighting, you go into all that.
jealousy,
Yeah, you can meet
jealousy.
a friend who loves you, wants to support you, and the
Oh
whole
yeah.
time they don't want to help you at all. They don't want to see you win, but like you said, they want to just completely claim everything that you have.
And I always say, if you have friends like this, you don't need enemies anymore. And when I say this, people get mad. And I say, okay, why are you mad? Are you trying to tell me something? Are you telling me that, you are the problem?
Yep.
I am
Yeah.
always happy for my friends. If I don't like you, you will not be my friend. I will not cheer up for you. I'm going to be honest about it. But it has
Right.
nothing to do with me not wanting you to be successful. It just might be that, we do not have a connection and I'm not interested in helping you or having your energy around me, period. Now, given the fact that I have friends or had friends that were like this, you don't need any more enemies. You don't need anybody to fuck up your life. And you don't need anybody to envy you because you have already the worst. They have all the information from you. They always say, keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. And like a
Right.
lot of people have frenemies. I see that especially in LA or in bigger cities. And it's really sad. So that is the biggest walking red flag for friendships. When people say they mean well and they really don't, right?
I feel like I'm 50-50 on that because I feel like if someone who was a friend and then became an enemy and then tries to come back in your good graces to become a friend again, I feel like there's ways to use that person to your advantage because anybody who's become on the outside,
Yeah.
right? Once they're not your friend anymore,
Yeah.
they will work 10 times harder to get back in. So
But
that
many
in a
times, yeah,
right.
but for some people it works out. Many times when I've done that, it has turned out worse and they were sneaky about stuff. Sneakier. So I've learned to once it's red, bye. Like
Bury
you
it.
give people a chance. You give people a chance and
Yeah.
sometimes it's just you people are clashing and they bring the worst out of you. I have this every so often. So I have a very small circle of friends, a very small I'm a lot of times like and it can happen also with clients. Some clients want to be friends with you. Why? Because they want to have superpowers. They want to have, the source. Also,
Somebody on call,
mm,
somebody to answer their
yeah,
questions, to tap in
yeah.
all the time. Yeah, of
Of
course. Of
course.
course.
Every other question is psychic or something. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So I
Right.
had to learn this because for the last 4 years I've been like super self-employed. Basically, I'm like really my own boss at this point. I was before self-employed, but I was working on a contract. And now I had to learn like to separate, like anyone who is a client can never necessarily become a friend. Like hard. That's a hard no. That's like a red flag for me because every time it's the same thing every time. And I'm sure you just told me about that too. You had a client that wanted to be friends, and when she doesn't get what she wants, then all of a sudden she is like not available and she disappears.
Haven't heard from her. I put a
We
boundary up. I put a boundary up. You'll see that on the last podcast. We talked about narcissism and boundaries. Put a boundary up, haven't heard from her. So, you know what that tells me? That tells me that she's just not somebody that needs to be in my life.
Yeah. It's a
So,
red flag that you said, I don't want to have it. I'm putting it down and I'm cutting you out. And yeah, it's a melting point. I'm noticing that especially when you're a narcissist, you're gonna be a narcissist with your friends, with your family, with your work, and you're gonna be a narcissist in your relationship. So it doesn't mean every red flag is narcissistic, but some are just very unhealthy. And
It it
while
could
it's
just be
fun,
an unhealed person. It could just be somebody who needs to work on themselves, especially if you're in tune, if you're spiritual,
yeah,
you're going to pick up these types of people. When we had lunch, honey, they were coming out of the woodwork when we were just leaving. You saw them, they were surrounding us. It's like, all right, I'm ready to go because there's a bunch of weirdos around here, like
yeah,
they
we
clean,
track those.
right. So
Yeah.
you will attract what needs to be worked on.
Yeah, that's true because we're reflecting what we have. So once we are healing it, then things are changing. And just to add to it, when I was younger and I was unhealed, I probably was a red flag in some ways, like that I was like very clingy towards relationships with friends or romantic or with work, and that I was submissive because I did not understand that I have to be more independent because the way I've been raised, right? So like I was a red flag as well at some point when I was younger until I learned really fast that this is not the way to go. And we are healing every day. And sometimes we do things that are also red flags, when we
Right.
freak
Right.
out or something. But we're talking about like massive freak out or like massive things that happen that we just, put it out there. Sometimes it's like I see it in my clients that have red flags and I tell them we need to work on that. Some are willing to work on that, some are not. They just want to hear what they want to hear and then just go. So I said, okay, until next time, we're going to do the same talk. And, it's like I'm a reflector. I reflect people. So, like, you're going to see your own face and you may like it or not, just like
It's
you
good
do with
though.
you. Yeah.
It's good though. It's a very enlightening experience. Self-awareness is beautiful. Okay?
Yeah.
It really is. People are so lost in Delulu, right? I'm gonna do a social media. What did they say today? It's not very demure.
Girl, have you seen who posted the mirror? Because, like, you need to watch the original.
Not very demure, you know? No, I
You
haven't
need
seen
to
it. I'll
see
take
the
a look at it.
original
Yeah.
video. Go ahead and
Yeah.
watch that because I saw
The,
the person that I almost fell off the chair laughing. Funny, hilarious, but like the sass, excuse me,
the,
the sass is
they're,
real. It's
they
not very
know.
demure.
They're so funny. The internet kills me. That it when you become self-aware and you know that you're not okay, right? Like my husband just passed. I'm
Yeah.
doing my own healing,
Mm.
right? This is me being self-aware. This is me reflecting.
Yeah,
People need to
absolutely.
do this on a daily, but they don't understand what that means because they don't see that they're the problem. They just see, why is all this stuff happening to me?
Yeah.
And it's like, because you need to, like you said, go back to healing, go back to your bloodline, go back to your narcissistic parents, go back to your bad relationship. You attract what you haven't healed, you attract what needs to be worked on. So, you know,
Some people don't even know they need to heal. They don't know anything about spirituality. It took me a long time before I started working on the spiritual things or learned that, like there are ancestral curses. I knew there's like witchcraft and like, like some sort of ancestral curses, but I didn't know there's real healing for that. And I did not know that, it goes through the lines, through the bloodlines and your ancestors. And some people know nothing about spirituality. So when you tell them stuff, they're just like, what? What is a chakra? So you have to start from the basics and you need to tell them, like, this is where you go, this is what you do. And, some people are open and receptive to it, and some people are really not. Many times when I'm in fairs or trade shows, and I just had to talk with my friend, she said, like, a lot of people are not willing to go into the deep. They're working on the surface. So when they do like tapping or they do like hypnosis, as much as I want to say this is a great thing, it doesn't go deep in to heal enough. It's not deep enough. You need to do things that are like, shadow work, root work, which
I'm laughing because I don't understand why you think you can hide from spirit. Like it literally sees everything that you are. So when you try to keep it surface level, your guides are sitting there like, oh my God, here we go again. Like we're
yeah,
not
just when people come to me and I tell them,
right.
I do psychic readings, I work with my tarot cards, I channel messages, I choose to put a block. I choose to put a wall. I don't want to read people when I'm outside. I don't care to know your business because I'm a person. I need to live as well. However, when I sit somewhere down, I do pick up energies, right? So like when people come to me actually to get a reading, even if we're in open space, just like we met back in the day,
Yeah.
um, people are like, "Oh my God, how do you know?" I'm like, "I see things."
Yeah.
And then, they try to tell you a story. I'm like, "This is not what it is.
No,
This is what I see."
yeah.
And they're just
Stop
like, "How do you
lying.
know?" And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
"This is my talent. Like, I can see through shit." Sorry saying it this blunt,
Yeah.
but like, and some
Yeah.
people just like to themselves, "No, it's this and this," and then they come back to me months later. "Everything you said came out. You're so right." I said, "Wait,
Yeah.
like." Just like when you do candle work and you tell me what you see, and I'm just like, "Holy
Yeah.
cow, how does she
Yeah,
know?"
yeah, yeah.
So like it's the same thing because like and a lot of people are intuitive. A lot are. They have a sense for things. Some people can feel things, some people can see things, they just don't know how to point it. But the
Right.
fact, like they know they need to heal and they choose something else instead, it's just like, things happen. So hopefully everyone is gonna have, some sort of awakening, especially these days. And this is for entertainment purposes, what we tell you, of course, but we know there's truth to it. So listen as many times as needed. You're welcome to support us. We are going to have this episode on video on YouTube. We are available on Spotify. We are available on Apple, iHeartRadio, all the streaming apps, Amazon, I don't know, you call it. And follow us on social media. You can follow me at cosmicenergylife.com and Cosmic Energy Life on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, where else? YouTube. And if you want to schedule a healing session or a personal reading, reach out cosmicenergylife.com. And thank you for listening. I want to give again a shout out to thank you so much for being my co-host, Alyssa
Thank
Sonora.
you so much.
How can people get a hold of you again, once again?
Yeah, so you guys can email me at healing_times with a Z at yahoo.com. You can also go and find me through Eva's page at Healing Times Instagram. I'm not big, guys. I'm just starting off. This is very new for me, but I'm real. I do good work and I
I'm gonna
just
help
want to
you get
help.
big. Don't worry.
Right. Yeah. No, well, I say it like that because I've been doing healing work since 2018 on myself, right? I do my own candles on myself and I
That's
never
how it
wanted to,
starts.
right. I never wanted to, it's not that I never wanted to, I just never thought that this was going to turn into helping others. You know what I mean? I did it for myself, but
Mhm.
it's a higher calling and then I have to help, pursue my purpose in life. So I'm more than honored to work with you.
Awesome. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being my co-host. This was very interesting. Let's see what will come up next time in our next podcast because I want to continue with you. You have really good views and we seem to be good talking partners. We had good feedback, just so you know.
Oh, good. Goody.
I
Let's
like it. I
bring it
like
back
it.
to the green Cubs.
Yeah, maybe we can do green flags next time. But you guys, if you have any subjects you want us to talk about, especially
Yeah.
about the spiritual, if you have any questions about candle magic, candle manifestation, anything about healing tips and tricks, please comment on anywhere on the social media or email us or message us so we can take this in and do a Q&A. We'd love to help you, and we're here for education purposes and life advice. So yeah, hit us up.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you so
you. You have a
much.
good night, honey.
You too, love.